Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Scoreboard Media. Scoreboard Media works with high schools across the country to run professional sponsorship programs on their LED scoreboards. Whether you already have LED and you just want to supercharge the revenue, or you want to use sponsorship revenue to buy new LED video scoreboards, Scoreboard Media can help. They work with sponsors and advertisers locally, regionally, and nationally who want to connect with your school's community. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to start the conversation and see what's possible.
You know, I think you're right on the money with it's kind of like your schedule, coach. You know, you've earned that. You've earned that after your 39 years. And the same with the credibility with the parents, the success that you've had. Golly, if I was a parent sitting across from you and I was going to try to tell you about what you could be doing better. Yeah. But my thought then was, how does the 30-year-old, how does he deal with that? Because I don't know if either the closed door policy or they don't have that instant credibility. My thought is transparency, meaning here's how we train, here's what we chart, here's what we do in practice, and really walk them through it instead of just listen to what I'm telling you. That's not going to work if you don't have the credibility. And you could even argue too, though, that like the more that we can, parents being allies versus enemies. When I started out at McKinney, I looked at them as enemies. Did. Being at a private school where they pay to be here, it's forced me to open up, but I think it's a little bit better to have that look towards them as allies.
I agree. And I try and foster those relationships.
Yeah.
It's hard to foster them when they're younger because they're not around us, meaning the varsity kids, the varsity coaching staff, as much as the kids are. I mean, I think the kids understand a lot better than the parents.
Yeah.
And, but I've had great parents. I mean, I can't, 39 years on one hand, maybe they want to say some things to me. And then once the talk starts, they come down and then they're a little bit more reasonable, they're a little bit more rational when you start explaining to them why things are happening a certain way. So for instance, the first problem I had as a head coach was the dad's 6'5", the son is 6 foot, and he's a post player. He doesn't have perimeter skills. The dad's concerned he's not getting any shots. Your offense is guard oriented. And I said, yes, sir. Our guards are our best players. So that's where we're going to be oriented to. It's not going to be equal opportunity. If your son gets better at this, then there's more opportunity for shots. But right now, we're going to pattern everything to our best players. So that's the transition we're going through. And this was 22 years ago, 21 years ago. Now, the issue I have with the kids, last year, now when I say post, I want you to laugh. Maybe 6'3" if I stretch him, and 6'2" if I stretch him. But they could score in the post. They were our best players. So everything went through them. If you were open as a perimeter kid, yeah, you got to shoot it. I never told you not to shoot it. But let's understand we're going to take the majority of the shots because it's not equal opportunity. And I think that's when kids buy into it. Now, come this year, post players aren't our best players. Now, all those younger kids that were perimeter players last year, now they're our better players.
They're going to air it out a little bit. Yeah.
And I live with it because I'm in the gym at 7 o'clock. They're in the gym at 7 o'clock getting shots up.
Yep.
Now, you earn credibility with me, and the only thing I ask for in return is defend. That's all I ask for. Get all the shots you want if you defend.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the key with parents is understanding, they have to understand who we are as a team. But we're always trying to make your son better. We're always trying to make him better.
Yep. I think you nailed it, almost like a how-to with setting up yourself and your team and parents for success. One is we can't be ashamed of letting them know that winning, that is our goal as a team. Like if it's not, then you're a rec league. You're a part of a rec league deal where it is just everybody gets to be the same. And that's not real life. And that's not what most of our teams, that's not who wins state every year, right? There's a state championship. So like, I think we need to be bold in how we proclaim that. Like that is our goal. But then so that you don't have the parent that says all they care about is winning, you have to have an individual component to it where we are going to be working with each of your sons to help them improve individually. Okay, our goal is to win, but they're also going to be building up our boys individually. That helps. And then an overall or an overarching purpose to why we're doing what we're doing, so that a parent can't come around and say it was just all about basketball. No, ma'am. No, sir. It was about way more than that.
Yeah. Very few of us at the head coaching level get to coach defense. And so what are we trying to instill in them? So for us, the word I always use is accountability, and you can put all the abilities in there you want, responsibility, anything you want, but you're going to be held accountable as you grow up. I'm going to hold you accountable. So punctuality, you need to be here. It's going to cost you. It started like this year, the perfect example, it started being a little more of a problem than I wanted to. Now we're practicing at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30.
Sure.
But if you really want to get better, this is what the sacrifice you have to make. And 7:35, make them do a couple extra stuff. We call them reminders. Get the bench out, get some 2x4s.
Parents, it's not a punishment; it's a reminder.
And it didn't seem to be kicking in, so I just told them. I said, "You're late for practice. You miss a quarter." Next thing you know, we had, and this is big games. Kids not playing first quarter, and it was always the first quarter. You're not playing the first quarter. Yeah, 2 games worth of different kids not playing the first quarter. Hey, all of a sudden we're on time every day. Hey, I'm gonna make sure I get you. I'll come get you. I'll wake you up. Now the kids are making sure that the habitual ones are all of a sudden there. And I heard that a long time ago. There's only the best motivator in the world is the bench.
Bobby Knight, right?
Nobody wants to be there. Everybody wants to be on the floor.
Yeah.
But don't think you're not too good that we can't start a game without you.
Yeah.
So
you talk about reminders or consequences. How often do you have it be team-based from an individual, or do you always take it individual? Like the classic, like, he screwed up, you're all going to run for him.
Well, have I done that? Yeah, not very often.
Yeah.
So one of the reminders right now that's going on in practice is we have a young kid who he's going to be a junior. I really think he can help us, but he's into the show. And so to give you a little history on the show, assistant coach once told his JV player who never dunked in practice, who tried to dunk in a game, told them the points are worth more than the show. So this young man, most of the shots he shoots are around the basket, but he's afraid of that clear thing with the square on it. He's afraid of that. That ball will never go off that glass. So he misses a lot of shots. And finally, I got fed up. I said, everybody's doing 10 push-ups every time he misses a shot that he didn't use. I mean, if he didn't use the backboard, you're doing push-ups, everybody. but it's quick. And we're not doing very many. The punctuality, accountability stuff, it's hard to. I think the kids are being punished enough when they get to the game and the kid's not playing.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
But
even right there, like my high school coach, Bracy Wright, was an amazing high school player at the Colony. Played it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, my son's favorite high school player ever, because he was in 7th and 8th grade.
Really?
It was my first year as a head coach. So Montwood was playing in a regional tournament at Midland, the junior college in Midland. And so I followed them. Those are all the kids I coach. I'm going to follow them through the playoffs. And Bracy and
Darren Williams, yeah.
My son is like, Bracy Wright is the greatest player ever. I said, he's a great player. Darren Williams is going to be a pro.
Man, you called it.
Bracy Wright was my son's job.
That's crazy. Well, Bracy he's a sophomore on varsity. We were pretty darn good my senior year. I was 2 years older than him. And we were about to go to Duncanville and play. They were second in state. We were third at the time. And Bracy's not at the bus. Not there. And another guy. And we get to the game. They're not there. Turns out they got in trouble, and they get to the game late, and coach isn't playing Bracy. And, there's a point where I thought, like, this is affecting me now. Like, then, you doing, but it wasn't coach doing it, obviously. He has this story. He remembers it, that I went up to him and I said, I think Bracy's learned his lesson. Coach, I don't remember saying that. That was that'd be pretty gutsy for me. I didn't think I was that guy, but we got back in. He got back in. We won. It was the greatest high school game I'd ever been a part of. Like 10 D1 dudes on the floor at a time. It was nuts. But my point, I guess, is how much of it is like, we got to send that message with something like that, but we don't want to necessarily hurt the team. Or is it so severe that after you've done it once or twice, you don't have to do that again?
Well, I think most players, you do it one time.
Yeah.
And they want to be on the floor so much that they're gonna make the change.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with us. And that happened right at the end of the first round this past season. One of the kids was our starting 3-man. We're playing the team that we eventually ended up tying for district championship in the last game of the first round. And I had to sit him out, and we hung in there. When he comes in, he's fresh, and it's probably up to that point his best game, because he came in and knocked down some shots because he wasn't exhausted from defending, but he learned his lesson.
Yeah,
and we didn't have to do it again. And so I think you have to do it because it's got to set the tone for the rest of them that we have one sophomore and the rest, 5 seniors, 4 juniors, and a sophomore. And the JV kids are obviously always hanging around. Why isn't he starting? Well, he was late. And so now you're sending the message to the younger kids.
Yeah.
Coach is not messing around. I mean, is it important to win the game? Yes. It's just as important for the message to get sent. You have to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, not on your time. Your time's not more important than anyone else's time. So I think lessons like that have to be taught, and sometimes you lose the game because you got off to a bad start. Someone wasn't in. Lately, most of the time, it's everyone else has picked up the thing. They picked up their pace. Understand they need to do a little bit more. But I'll tell you, I was humbled as a varsity coach when I first started. Because when I told you earlier that we were rolling in Montwood, we were rolling. I mean, I'm a JV coach for 6 years and 5 district championships. And the one year we didn't was my best team. And coach started having problems. And I said, well, he can rebound it for you. He can rebound it for you. So take him, because I was never a big JV has to win. We were fortunate to win. I mean, that was nice. So you get to become a head coach, and all of a sudden, you're not out coaching anybody. You might have been out coaching them at that level, but you're not out coaching them anymore because they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I've got more losses as a first-year varsity coach than I had in 6 years as a JV coach.
How'd you handle that?
Hard work.
Yeah.
The process, you hear it all the time. Not only do players have the process, I think the coaches have to have a process. I'm a much better coach now, and if I would go back, I'd use personnel a whole lot different than I did 24 years ago.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.